Hello there everyone, I'm Christina of CSLdesigns and today I'm going to show you how to make this beaded hat flat Kumihimo bracelet. And this is what mine looks like. So you can see we have a hat running down the middle there, and then we have the beads on the edges just adding a bit of sparkle and some more colour as well, and just kind of framing in those hats nicely. So we have this cute little kind of hat shape in the middle of the braid because of how we place our cords, but then otherwise this is a half round Kumihimo braid structure. The back looks like this. They're also a little bit hat shaped, but obviously there's quite a different look to them. So personally I would say this is the front and the other one is the back, but obviously that's completely up to you and what you prefer. And it can then look something like this on. So just so you can see there the effect of the hat and the beads going all the way around your wrist, and the beads adding that nice sparkle to it. So if you want to learn how to make this cute and romantic Kumihimo bracelet that would also be perfect for Valentine's, then keep watching. So these are the materials that we're going to need. First of all, what I have here is my round Kumihimo disc. Now you can use either the round or the square one for this braid structure. It doesn't really matter because you can easily make this braid structure on either of the discs. And then we need our cord. Now the cord that I'm using is a 1mm satin cord. I'm using the white colour and then this kind of burgundy colour to get that effect that I want with the hats for the Valentine's theme. But you can obviously choose whichever colours that you want to, and also be aware that different kinds and thicknesses of cord will give you different results. And then we also have the beads that we need to add in. Now these are 4mm bicones in just this dark red colour, just to make it match nicely with the colour of the cord. Now again, you can really use whatever kind and shape of bead that you want to. Different ones will give you different looks, so it could be fun to play around with. And also what you just want to make sure, regardless what beads that you use, is that the holes are large enough to take a length of your cord through. And then I'm going to be using these ribbon ends here to finish off the ends of the braid, and to them, because they have these little loops, I can attach my clasp. So I have my extended chain, lock stock claw clasp, and I'm going to use those jump rings there to attach it all together. You can obviously choose whatever kind of clasp that you want to. So let's get all the materials ready and let's get started. And then as for the lengths of cord that we'll need, what I have here is 8 lengths of about 1 meter each. And then as for the different colours here, I've got 6 lengths of the white one, and then I've got 2 lengths of the red one here. Then I make sure to put all the ends together so they're even, and then I fold them all over in half, so put the ends together again, like that, because then what we need to do is find the middle. So I just tie a regular knot on that middle to hold all the cords together, and I put a piece of scrap wire around it to help pull it down through the disc. But then that means now that all these cords have doubled over. So this is then how I've attached all my cords to my disc. Now what I've done is each slot that I have the cords in, I've put 2 cords in each slot there. So I have 2 cords in each slot on either side of the top dot, and also 2 in each slot on either side of the bottom dot there, so opposite each other. The top ones are white and the bottom ones are the red ones. And then on the side here, same thing, 2 cords in each slot, one on either side there of the dot, and also on the other side again opposite each other. So we just have these pairs opposite each other here, and it's placing the colour that we want the hat to be on the bottom one that achieves this pattern that we want. And if you're using a square disc for this, it's the exact same principle. You just use the 2 middle slot on the top side of the disc and then the 2 middle slots on the bottom side, and again the middle ones on the sides as well, because the cords are constantly going to stay opposite each other like this. And then in the middle of the disc here is where I have that knot where all the cords are coming out from, and on the back I have that piece of wire coming out. That's also where the braid is going to be growing as we're making it. But then as for the braid structure here, what we need to do is I'm going to start with the top right pair of cords. So we're just constantly moving both pairs per slot, or both cords rather. So the pair here, I bring that from the top right one to the left side of the disc in the one just below the cords on the side. And then I take the other one, so that's the one from the left side of the slot, or the dot there, and then bring it to the right side just below the cords on that side there. And then we need to move the bottom ones. Now this is just the only one where it's slightly different, is when we move the bottom ones. So I'm just going to start that now. What I'm going to do first of all is make a few rounds here before we add in any beads, just so we have a length that we can finish off with. But I'm just going to use the same technique anyway. So what I'm going to do is release both pairs and then just kind of separate them out. Then you'll find that you're kind of going to have one that's closer towards the middle and one that's further to the side. They're naturally going to want to go that way, so just stick to that. I'm then going to start with the right one here that's closer to the middle, bring that over towards the left, and this goes into the slot above the cords on that side. Then I'm going to take the one that's further towards the middle but on the left side of the disc here, and bring that over towards the right and put that into the slot above those cords. Then I go back to the right side, take the remaining cord there, bring that towards the left and into the same slot. And then I take the last cord left, that's from the left side, over towards the right into the same slot as previously as well. So there we go. Then we need to move the side ones. So I release the top one out of the pair in the middle there, so right above the dot. And then I like to always just keep an eye, especially as we get a little bit further, obviously into the braid. This is just the end of it, but I like to kind of keep the technique going. So again, you're going to have them kind of wanting to lay naturally next to each other. So if you kind of find that they're crossing over as you go, keep an eye on that so you get them nice and even throughout. Bring them down, place them into the slot to the left of that bottom dot. Then I take the one just below the dot on the side there. Again, just smooth them out so they're not crossing over each other. Bring that up into the left slot of that top dot there. Then the same on the other side. We take the one just above the dot, so the top one out of the two middle ones. Just make sure that the cords are sitting right. Bring that down, stay on the right side of the disc here. And then we take the bottom one of the two middle ones and then bring that up into the top. So again, we have now two pairs opposite each other there on the top and the bottom. Then we just need to close up these gaps because obviously you can see here we have some big gaps. That's the only difference now from the original setup, except for obviously where the colours of the cords are. So just move one slot closer to each other. Again, make sure the cords aren't crossing over each other too much in the braid if you can help it. So they kind of keep laying just next to each other instead of crossing over each other. So this is now one full round of the structure. And then just to show you again here, so it's the exact same principle because like I said, the cords are back in the original setup, but you can just see that the colours have kind of moved place. Just to show you what it'll look like next time. So start another round the exact same way. I take the top right one and just make sure that they stay flat next to each other. Bring that into the slot just below the cords on the left side. And then I release the ones from the left on the top there. Again, both of them always working with the two at a time. And then I also make sure that they lie flat next to each other. Kind of keep an eye in the middle here as you go. If you need to kind of move them around, do that before you then place them into the slot. Again, below the ones on the side. And then on the bottom here, I release the cords again. This is, remember, the only one that's different, where I then look in the middle where the cords are coming out from. And you can see one that's more towards the middle on both sides. I'm going to keep them separate. And then take the one from the right first, but the one closer to the middle, or closer to the dot there. Bring that over towards the left. And then I take the one closer to the dot from the left side over towards the right. And then I just bring the rest over with them. So again, I take the one from the right side to the left into the same slot. And then one from the left into the right slot there. And then what happens in the middle there, you kind of get the cords intertwining a little bit. It really kind of emphasizes that pattern in the braid. Then on the side, you take the one just above the dot, so the top one of the two middle ones, and it doesn't matter which side you start with. You can start with the other side if you feel more comfortable with that, because we need to do the same on both of them. Bring that down, and then I take the bottom ones, make sure they lie flat, bring that up, so straight across from each other. And then on the other side, I bring the top one of the two middle ones down, and the bottom one of the two middle ones then goes up into, again, so they're straight opposite each other, and then we then again have those two pairs opposite each other, and then we just need to close up the gaps here. So just bring them closer together. So we then end up with all the cords in the original setup, and now you can see that these two red pairs, the cords here, are back down on the bottom exactly how we started out. But then now what you want to do is just repeat this a few more times until you have a short little length there that's going to be sufficient to finish off the braid. So now I made a few rounds here, we can start to see the braid coming out on the back with those little hearts forming as well. And then what I want to do now is also start adding in the beads. So I'm going to start a new round to do that, but where I've ended up is with my coloured cords on the side there, so not with the ones on the bottom, because I want my beads to sit in between the hats on the side. So that's why we need to end up with the cords on the side there, the coloured ones. And then otherwise we just start a new round in the exact same way. So take the top right one to the left side, and the top left one out to the right side. And then the bottom ones here, we just release and just bring one over at a time. So they're kind of intertwined here. Just make sure to separate them out. And then we've got all of them. Then we need to do the side ones. And this is then where I want to add in the beads. So first of all, what I'm going to do is take the top one out of the two middle ones. In this case, that's the coloured one, that red one that I'm using for the hat colour. Bring that down, and then it's the bottom one of the two middle ones where I want to add my bead to. So what I'm going to do again is release them, and I just want to separate them out because we can't get both of these cords through the bead, not the one that I'm using anyway. If you have beads where the holes are large enough, obviously by all means feel free to put both cords through. But I'm just going to separate them out. You're kind of going to have one that's going to be closer to the braid and another one is going to be more on the outside. So I'm going to take the one first of all that's close to the braid, bring that up into the slot, and then on the other one here is where I'm going to add my first bead. So I just take my bead, put it onto my cord. Now what I've also done in this case here, because I'm using a synthetic cord, I've singed the ends. So I basically made a little needle by just putting a lighter on it and rolling it between my fingers. And then just want to bring that all the way down to sit on the side of the braid, so push it down in between the other two pairs there, all the way, and then bring it up and join the other one, so we again have the original pair. On the other side we just want to do the exact same thing, so just take the top one out of the two middle ones down, that's the coloured one, the hat colour, then release the bottom pair of the two middle ones, find which one is further towards the braid, closer to the braid, bring that up, place it into the slot, and then the other one is where I want to add my bead. So again, just put it onto that single length of cord, and then drop it all the way down and push it in between the other pairs going out to the side here, and then bring it up to join the other one again. And then we just need to close up the gaps, just like this. So we then have the cords back in the original setup again, and then that's how you basically add in the beads. Now what I'm going to do is just do another round, and then I'm going to add in beads again. So I'm not going to add beads to every single round, I'm going to do it every other round. So I've just done it, so that means the next round when the coloured cords for the hats are down on the bottom here, I'm not going to add beads in, because that's then where I create the hat, and then after that I'm going to add beads again. So I'm just going to show you again up close here. I've now reached the next round where I want to add in my beads. Then we'll start the exact same way. So I release the top right ones, and you can see already, especially once we're getting further in the braid, naturally your cords are going to want to kind of sit next to each other instead of crossing over, but still just keep an eye on it. So just keep them like this next to each other. Bring them to the opposite side, and then the other ones on the top there, again bring them down, lay them flat next to each other if they're not already, and bring them to the opposite side as well. Then we have the bottom ones, which is where we cross them, or intertwine them with each other rather. So make sure they're separated out. Again, it's more naturally going to happen once you've got your braid going, because then your cords will naturally kind of want to sit in the place where they need to be. So again, I take the one closest to the middle from the right side, bring that over. Then I take the one closest to the middle from the left side and bring that one over. Then I take the remaining ones. The right one again goes over to the left in the same slot, and then the left one goes over to the right in the same slot as well. So we then end up with them kind of intertwining in the middle, just like that. Then we reach the sides, and that's why I want to add in my beads. So first of all, again, you can see the coloured cords here, the hat colour, are on the sides again. So I release them first of all, just make sure they're sitting properly. So if I need to change them around, like that, and then bring them down. Then it's on this one here where I want to add in my bead. So I release them, and then I have one naturally closer to the braid. I'm going to bring that up, and then the other one here, I'm going to add my bead to. So you can see I have that little kind of needle on the end. Makes it much easier to get the beads on. Bring that all the way down. Push it in between the two pairs going out to the side. So it pushes it all the way right down to basically where it won't go any further. And then make the cord join the other one. So again, we have that pair at the top. On the other side, I repeat. So just make sure that I bring these down. So like that. Sitting next to each other. Just double check that. Yeah. Bring them around like this here. And then bring them down. And then we need to bring the bottom one of the top of the two middle ones there up, but just make sure you bring one first of all up that's closer to the braid, and the other one is where I'm adding my bead. So just add that on and then bring it all the way down the cord to sit on the edge of the braid, just to kind of add that little bit of embellishment into it, and obviously a bit more colour. You can also easily, I think it would be nice, making the beads a different colour than the hats, the cord they're using for the hats, to make it a bit more contrast. But obviously that choice is completely up to you. And then we close up the gaps. And then we have all the cords back in the original setup again. And now is where the coloured ones here for the hat are on the bottom, so that means this round I'm going to just use the cords and not add beads in, because that's going to create the hat pattern there. And then otherwise I'm just going to keep repeating this, so adding in the beads every other round until you have the length that you need. So then once you've kept going here, this is then the braid that we end up with. So you can see we have the hats going down the middle, and then those beads on the edges, just giving that nice sparkle and colour as well. Now right in the end, the last thing I've done is, after adding the last set of beads in, I just made a few more rounds, basically just like we did in the beginning, just so we have an end on the braid there that we could finish it off with. So I've then taken my braid off the disc here, and then what I've done is on the open end of the braid I've just tied a knot with all the cords just to make sure the braid doesn't start to unravel. So now what we need to do is finish off the ends of the braid. So to do that I'm going to be using these ribbon ends here, so they're going to fit just perfectly on the end and finish it off nice and securely. And then they have these loops that you can then attach your findings to. Now I already have a tutorial where I show how to use these if you're not familiar with them, so you can check that out. I'm going to put a link to it in the description box below there. Otherwise you just want to finish off the ends, and then you're going to have your finished bracelet. So now that I've finished off the ends of my braid here, I've attached my clasp, so my lobster claw clasp there, and then also my extended chain on the other end. Then this is what the braid looks like. So you can see on this side we have the little hat, and then obviously the beads on the edges, and then on the back this is what the pattern looks like. So technically these could also be a little bit like hats, but obviously they just look quite different. But personally I feel like this is the back and this is the front, so you get more the hat like shaped on this. But then your bracelet will be ready to wear, just using your clasp here, and it's going to sit nicely on your wrist. So it'll be really nice and romantic and cute as well. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please feel free to check out my other Kumihimo tutorials as well on my channel, and also other mediums that I do. So thank you so much for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.